is who you are. Oh, you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you, I worship you. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Oh, you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. That is who you are.
Yes, it is.
That is who you are. That is who you are. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop, you never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop, you never stop working. You never stop. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. 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 That is who you are.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you are all well. It's good to be with you this morning. Thank you, Paul, for that reflection and just leading us to that place of thankfulness and gratefulness. I am here at home, so we are doing Regen from home for the next couple of weeks, mainly because me and Lisa and Marley decided to go to France last weekend, and so we are now in quarantine. Sounds like a bad word, but trust me, it's not that bad. We're in quarantine. We're not allowed to leave the house for 2 weeks, so we are halfway to the end of today makes the end of the first week. It was one of those things. We left on the Thursday and there was no quarantine, and we got to where we were staying and there was a quarantine. So there you go. We stayed in the middle of nowhere, visited the supermarket a couple of times and visited some shops on the way home. And that's about as close as we've got to any French people. But there you go, rules are rules. And so we are in quarantine. Anyway, we are continuing our discussion on the book of Nehemiah. And we're looking at rebuilding. We've been for a strange year, really. I keep seeing all these memes about 2020, and what a strange year it's been. Everything's been thrown up in the air. Everything has changed. And now as things are beginning to settle, and even as they settle, they're not really settling much, but they are beginning to settle. We're now in a place where we need to find our way in this new world. We are rebuilding. We're rebuilding what our church community looks like. We're rebuilding what our lives look like. Some people are rebuilding what their career and their work life looks like. We are rebuilding. And we've been speaking about this over the last couple of weeks. Our first week, as Paul reminded us, was it's time to rebuild. We talked about the level of urgency. The second week was about building coalition and getting the help we need along the way. And that was about using our influence, the influence that we have. Last week, Paul spoke about vision and planning the work. This week, we are in Nehemiah chapter number 3. And Nehemiah chapter number 3, the thought I want to leave you today is rebuilding takes a team. Rebuilding takes a team. Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for your goodness, for your grace, for your mercy. And Lord, and as we just spend a few moments sharing the story of Nehemiah and talking about it, we just pray you will lead us, touch our hearts. In Jesus' name, amen. Nehemiah chapter 3 says this. It says, Then Elisha, the high priest, rose with his brothers, the priests, and built the sheep gate. And they consecrated it and hung its doors. And they consecrated the wall to the Tower of 100 and the Tower of Hanau. Next to him, the men of Jericho built. And next to them, Sakur, the son of Imri, built. Now, the sons of Hasasana built the fish gate. And they laid its beams and hung its doors with its bolts and bars. Next to him, Mirmoth, the son of Uriah, the son of Hakaz, made repairs. And next to him, Meshullam, the son of Barakchiah, the son of Meshelzabel, made repairs. And next to him, Zadok, the son of Bana, also made repairs. Moreover, next to him, the Tekoites made repairs. But their nobles did not support the work of their master. Jada, the son of Paisiah, and Meshullam, the son of Besodiah, repaired the old gate, and they laid its beams and hung its doors with bolts and bars. Next to him, Melatiah, the Gibeonite, and Jadon, the Meronothite, and the men of Gibeon and Mizpaz also made repairs for the official seat of the governor and the province beyond the river. Next to him, Uzel, the son of Harabhiah, of the goldsmiths, made repairs. And next to him, Hananiah, one of the perfumers, made repairs. And they restored Jerusalem as far as the broad wall. Next to them, Raphiah, the son of Hur, the official of the half-district of Jerusalem, made repairs. Next to him, Jediah, the son of Haramath, made repairs opposite his house. And next to him, Hatush, the son of Hashabniah, made repairs. Malachi, the son of, Malchijah, the son of Harim, and Hasbah, the son of Pathad, Moab, repaired another section of the Tower of Furnace. Next to him, Shalom, the son of Haloesh, the official of the half district of Jerusalem, made repairs. He and his daughters. Hanaf, the inhabitants of Zanoah, repaired the valley gate. They built it, hung its doors with bolts and bars, and 1,000 cubits of wall to the refuse gate. Merchiah, the son of Rachab, the official of the district of Beth Hakerem, repaired the refuse gate. He built it, hung its doors with bolts and bars. Are you with me? Shalom, the son of Kolhez, the official of the district of Mesphah, repaired the fountain gate and built it, covered it, hung its doors with bolts and bars, and the wall of the pool of Shelah at the king's garden as far as the steps that descended from the city of David. And after him, Nehemiah, the son of Azbak, official of the half district of Beth Zur, made repairs as far as a point opposite the tombs of David, and as far as the official pool of the house of the mighty men. After him, the Levites carried out repairs under Regen, the son of Benaiah. Next to him, Hashabiah, the official of the half district of Keilah, carried out repairs for his district. And after him, their brothers carried out repairs under Baviah, the son of Hananadab, official of the other half of the district of Keilah. Next to him, Ezer, the son of Jeshua, the official of Mizpah, repaired another section in front of the ascent of the armory of the angle. After him, Baruch, the son of Zabiah, zealously repaired another section from angle to the doorway of the house of Elishibab, the high priest. After him, Mermoth, the son of Uriah, the son of Hakkus, repaired another section from the doorway of Elishabeth's house, even as far as the end of his house. After him, the priests, the men of the valley, carried out repairs. After them, Benjamin and Hashbab carried out repairs in front of their house. And after them, Azariah, the son of Maaseiah, the son of Ananiah, carried out repairs beside their house. And after him, Benaiah, the son of Henadad, repaired another section from the house of Azariah as far as the angle and as far as the corner. Pelaiah, the son of Uzziah, made repairs in front of the angle and the tower projecting from the upper king's house, which is by the court of the guard. And after him, Pedaiah, the son of Parash, made repairs. The temple servants living in Ophel made repairs as far as the front of the water gate towards the east projecting tower. And after them, the Telkoites repaired another section in front of the great projecting tower as far as the wall of Ophel. Above the horse gate, the priest carried out repairs in front of his house. And after them, Zadok, the son of Immer, carried out repairs in front of his house. And after them, Shemaiah, the son of Shechaniah, the keeper of the east gate, carried out repairs. And after him, Hananiah, the son of Shelemiah, and Hananiah, the sixth son of Halasaphat, repaired another section. And after him, Meshushalam, the son of Barachiah, carried out repairs in front of his own quarters. And after him, Malachiah, one of the goldsmiths, carried out repairs as far as the house of the temple servants and of the merchants in front of the inspection gate, as far as the upper room of the corner. Between the upper room and the corner and the sheep gate, the goldsmiths and the merchants carried out repairs, and everyone said amen. Now that was hard work, wasn't it? Especially for someone like me that has a lot of difficulty pronouncing those names. And I read the whole chapter there. I was tempted just to read part of it, but I read the whole chapter because it's a fascinating chapter. Now, you first look at that, you think, oh, it's just a bunch of random names. But what's happening in chapter number 3 is this is an activity report. This is Nehemiah's activity report of the work to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Now, I just want to put this whole thing in context for you. Because when we talk about rebuilding walls, I just want you to understand how big this task was, how mammoth this task was. The walls surrounded the city, and they went round the city, and the distance of it of that circle or that circular wall around the city was something in the region of 2.5 miles. The average height of the wall was 12 meters. Now, I'm probably, around two something meters tall. I don't know. So I'm nearly 6 foot, just under 6 foot. There you go. But 12 meters is a tall wall, and there was something like 2.5 meters thick. That's a lot of wall. Your average wall is probably about that thick. This was several times thicker than that. This wall contained 34 watchtowers. It contained 7 main gates for traffic, and it contained 2 minor gates. This job was a mammoth task. And this, in Nehemiah chapter 3, is an activity report. And if you follow it, it's fascinating. Nehemiah starts recording this at the sheep gate. And in the New Testament, we know that as the pool of Bethsaida, where Jesus healed the lame man at the pool. And he works his way around in a clockwise direction. And you see the connections there. At this point, this one starts here and finishes here, and stops here and finishes here. And he works his way around in a clockwise direction until he gets back to the sheep gate. Now, as I said, it may sound like I've just read out a list of random names. And actually I have. These are random names. These are people that were working as Nehemiah worked his way around that wall, working on each different section. But these names tell us something fascinating about how Nehemiah and the people of Jerusalem achieved the task of rebuilding the wall. What Nehemiah did, Nehemiah recruited a volunteer army to undertake this mammoth task. And this tells me something really important about the task of rebuilding. Whatever we are rebuilding, the task of rebuilding requires a team. Rebuilding takes a team. That's the thought I want to leave with you to do. If we are going to build something great or rebuild something great, we need a team. And whether that's something we do as a church community, or whether that's something that you're doing, you still need a team around you, a team of people that will help you achieve the things that you want to achieve. Now I know we live in an age where we say, well, I can do it all by myself, even in Broken Hills. But if you want to build something significant, if you want to build something important, if you want to build something life-changing, if you want to build something that lives beyond yourself, rebuilding takes a team, even if that is something personal to you. Now, just before I sort of dip into the observations that I have in this text, in order to recruit a volunteer army, Nehemiah needed to do something really important. He needed to take the vision that God had given him. He needed to take his vision that God had given him. He needed to take the passion that he felt about getting this job done. And he needed to get other people to buy into this vision. And at this point, the vision becomes bigger than Nehemiah. At this point, this is no longer Nehemiah's vision, but it's the vision. Or rather, it's our vision. And you see, all the time it's Nehemiah's vision. All the time it's my vision, right? You'll get people who help you. But it will remain that. It will remain something relatively small. It will remain that, your vision. But he had to get everybody to see this as our vision. And like I said, all the time it's your vision. You will get people to help you. But the moment you get people buying into our vision, the moment that vision becomes bigger than you, the moment that vision becomes shared and it's our vision, then the potential of greatness multiplies and expands. There is something that Nehemiah did that took that vision and made it a shared vision that everyone bought into. And there are consequences of that, because this was no longer now Nehemiah's vision. And that means that Nehemiah couldn't, when it's your vision, you can control it, you can cherish it, you can hold it, you can decide who comes in and out and so forth. But the moment you say it's our vision, and the moment you get people believing that it's our vision, you can no longer control that. And this becomes something that's bigger than you. And so what happened to Nehemiah is his leadership style had to change. Nehemiah was no longer a manager of this process, but Nehemiah's job became one of strategic management. Strategic management. And so Nehemiah's job was to have a 360-degree oversight of the project. Do you see how Nehemiah 3 takes us around that journey? He walks around 360 degrees and chronicles the activity that's taking place. And you see, when we talk about strategic vision is not the place for micromanagement. How many of you have ever met a micromanager? How many of you are micromanagers? And micromanagers are not a bad thing. We need micromanagers. We need people to manage quality. We need people to manage process. But Nehemiah's job was not micromanagement. And when you move to the place of strategic leadership, you move away from the place of micromanagement. That becomes someone else's job. The detail and the minutiae becomes someone else's job. And your job becomes the oversight of the project. And whenever you move to that place of strategic management, you need to move away from you need to resist the urge to micromanage and manage every detail. And you know, as we talk about micromanagement, and those of you that manage people and manage teams know this to be true. When you try and micromanage people, there are some people that do need micromanagement. Trust me, they do. But when you work with highly skilled people, when you work with highly competent people, when you work with highly creative people, one of the worst things you can do is try and micromanage those people as a leader. And so as we look at this thought about rebuilding takes a team, the job of the strategic leader is to organize, is to motivate, is to deploy, and is to have strategic leadership of that team. Now I want to just talk about the observations that I see in Nehemiah chapter 3. First of all, I want to say, as I go, oh God, I've got this chapter. I've got the chapter with all the random names in it. Oh my God, what am I going to do with this chapter? But I must say that I have found this study just fascinating. I found it amazing, actually. There are nuances in there that you just miss because sometimes you think you're just reading names and you're going through a list of random names. But there are nuances in there that leave us with some observations about what it takes to manage a team, what it takes to lead a team rather, and what it takes to have a team that rebuilds. And I've got a few observations. And the first observation I want to mention is observation number 1 is this: it takes the work of everybody. Everybody say everybody with me. Everybody. The first thing to note about Nehemiah chapter 3 is that the work list or the work role list includes people from a range of backgrounds, from a range of skill sets, from a range of levels of society. Just to point some of this out, this list in Nehemiah, the first set of people it includes important religious people. People like Elishibib, the high priest, Mermoth, the son of Uriah, the son of Hakos, the son of a priest, the Levites, Ezer, the son of Jeshua, the official of Mizpah, the priests, the men in the valley, the temple servants. These were important people in terms of the religious life, in terms of the city. And yet what Nehemiah tells us is that nobody was too important, nobody was too spiritual, nobody was too holy to get their hands dirty and do the actual work. All of these people, from the high priest right down to the temple servants, did the actual work of rebuilding. They got their hands dirty with bricks and mortar and rebuilding. And what we find here in the text is that there was no room for the ceremonial. There was no room for people to act ceremonial and walk around ceremonial, throwing holy water everywhere. Everybody had to get on with the work of rebuilding. The next set of people that we see in this list from Nehemiah is important political people. So you have Shalom, the son of Koses, the official of the district of Mizpah, Melchiah, the son of Rechab, the official of the district of Beth Chaharem, and a load of others. I'm not going to try and pronounce them again. But you had a load of other people that were really important people in terms of the civic running of the city. And what Nehemiah tells us, there was no one too official. There was no one too busy to get their hands dirty. There was no room for people to walk around acting all officious and trying to look all important. They had to do the job of rebuilding. The next set of people that you see listed in this list of random names is invested local families. And an example here is Melshalem, the son of Berechiah, the son of Melshabal. Now, Melshabal was one of the persons who was involved in the sealing of the covenant 80 years prior with Ezra. And what the writer is trying to get you to understand is that there are people here whose families have been invested in the rebuilding of Jerusalem. And you see that because they say so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, the son of so-and-so. Some people are the son of the son of. And what you get, the writer is trying to get you to understand that these are people of lineage, who have an investment in the city because of that lineage. Their fathers and their forefathers were involved in the work that Ezra did, and they were involved in, and they are important people within the city. The next set of people that you see in this random list of names that Nehemiah mentions is the men of Jericho and Sakur, the son of Imri. Now, Imri is from a place called Shushan in Persia. And the men of Jericho, guess where they're from? Well, they're from Jericho. And what these are people that don't live in the city. They're people that have no real investment in the city, but they are people that come from outside of the city into the city. Guess what these people are? These people are allies. These people that are ones that they're not going to benefit from the work that is done in the city, but they believe in the work. They don't live in the city, so it's not their job to do the work, but they still believe in the work that was happening. And I just want to say this, whenever you're doing anything, you need allies. You need people that are not going to benefit from what you do. You need people that are not necessarily involved in what you do, but they will support what you do, and they will be there when you need others to do anything. And these are people that travel distance to get there, to be a part of that. Now the other people that you've got in the city. Now I searched every one of these names to see if I could find out something about them. And the next group of people that you've got here in this list of random names is just everyday, normal people. There are some people you find references or reference to their fathers elsewhere in sort of Chronicles and Nehemiah and Ezra and so forth. But there are some people that this is the only place their name is mentioned in the Bible. They are immortalized here through the work that they did. And they're never mentioned ever again. And these are everyday, normal people. And what this lets you know, that whilst you had these really important religious people, and whilst you had these really important political people, and while you had these allies that came from elsewhere, and while you had invested families that had a stake in this because their forefathers had done something, you had the everyday people that had bought into the vision and wanted to be a part of the work, and they made an amazing contribution to this mammoth task. Now there's one final group of people I just want to mention, because the text mentions them. And you listen, whenever you read something in these stories, in these texts, it's not by accident it's there, it's deliberate. The next bit I want to sort of highlight to them is the work of Shalom, the son of Haloesh, the official of the half of the district of Jerusalem, made repairs. He and his daughters. Guess what? This wasn't just men's work, but this was women's work as well. And women got their hands dirty. They got bricks, they got mortar, and they were part of rebuilding that wall. And you see, sometimes that's important, because sometimes we want to exclude people. We want to push people out. Well, you don't fit the mold of the people that should be doing this. No. The text tells us that women got involved in this. Everybody had a place. And what this list reminds us and tells us that the work of rebuilding is the work of a team, and it will take people from all walks and all stations of life to make that project, or to complete that project, to make that vision achievable and possible. All walks of life. And what that lets us know is we all have a place in this idea of rebuilding. Second observation I want to leave with you is this, that not everybody will get involved. Verse 5 tells us this. He says, the Teokites made repairs, but their nobles did not support the work of their masters. This lets us know that whilst there were loads of people doing the work and getting involved and getting their hands dirty, there were some people that weren't getting their hands dirty. And that's an important thing to do. Whenever you're sort of leading, strategic leading, or getting involved in the work of rebuilding, there are some people that didn't get involved. Now, I'm sure there were loads of people that didn't get involved. But Nehemiah made a point of mentioning this in the text. Why did he make a point of mentioning these specific people? Well, I think there was an expectation that these people would get involved. And that's why Nehemiah makes a point that actually Their lack of involvement was notable. People noticed it. It was something that other people observed. And I think what the text is giving us, this is about reality. You know, whilst there are some people that should get involved in the work of rebuilding, and it'll be noticeable if they don't get involved in the work of rebuilding, there are some people that just won't get involved. And what this text tells us is, one, there's no point losing sleep over it. There's no point getting upset over it. In fact, celebrate what the Tekoites did. And that's what Nehemiah does. He celebrates what the Tekoites did. But he makes note of those who did not get involved. And it's important to make note, because I reckon that the nobles would have benefited greatly from the work was going on. They would have got something out of the finished project. And what I think Nehemiah is making a point here is, you're going to want something later on down the line. But, let's remember, you didn't get your hands dirty when the work was going on. Third observation I want to make from this text. Third observation is this: not everybody who is with you at the start will be with you at the end. Let me say that again. Not everybody who is with you at the start will be with you at the end. The first name, everyone say the first name. The first name mentioned in this text is Eliashib, the high priest. Now Elisha and his brothers built the sheep gate. They hung the doors. They consecrated the part of the wall from the Tower of the 100 to the Tower of Hanau. He is the first name mentioned. He's there at the beginning. And he did a great contribution. We see his name also later on down in the text. He made a great contribution. But later on in Nehemiah, we learn something very important about Eliashib. We learn that Eliashib has a close relationship. He's probably related to someone called Tobiah. Now Tobiah, we haven't come across Tobiah or his friend Sanballat yet, but we'll come across those next week or the week after. Now Sanballat and Tobiah were people that got in the way of the work. They were people that were a hindrance to the work. They are people that tried to stop the work. And what happens, they are people that actively oppose Nehemiah. In fact, they threaten Nehemiah's life. And what happens here is, we don't know the full story, but somehow Elisha is caught up in what Tobiah is doing, or gets caught up in what Tobiah is doing. And whilst he plays a great role at the beginning, his involvement at the end is not so great. And this lets us know that over time, people's motivations change. People change. And it tells us, don't take it too badly. Celebrate what they've done. There are sometimes you think these people are going to be with you for life. That kind of people, brothers to the end. But sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. And what this text tells us is, don't take it too harshly. Note what they've done. Celebrate what they've done. Congratulate them from what they've done. But when it comes to an end, let it end. So oftentimes we invest too much energy trying to resurrect a dead horse. It's gone. It's over. That connection, that relationship is finished. It may come around again, who knows? But for now, move on and let's work with who we've got and do what we've got to do. Observation number 4. Observation number 4. This tells us that there are alliances and motivations. Alliances and motivations. When you go through this list of people, one of the things you notice is that there are different alliances going on in the teams. And people have different motivations for doing what they do. Now, remember the work that Nehemiah was doing, it was political and it had political ramifications. And people had different alliances and different reasons for being motivated. Verse 17 tells us that Hashabiah, the official of the half district of Kalai, carried out the repairs for his district. Their brothers carried out repairs under Baviah, the son of Hananadad, official of the other half of the district of Kalai. Now listen, we all know that people work under people. We all know that because that's how teams work. You can't just let everybody run off and do what everybody wants. You need someone leading these individual teams. But this text makes a point of mentioning that these people worked under this other official. And what that's letting you know is that there was a different alliance going on in this group and this text. And listen, whenever you have a team, there will be groups, there will be subgroups, there will be cliques, there will be factions within any team that you are doing it. We see it in our workplaces, we see it all over the place, in all kinds of organizations. And what this chapter tells us is, again, don't lose too much sleep over it. Recognize it, note it, and move along. If it becomes a problem later on, then you deal with it when it becomes a problem. But there's a big chance that it won't. And a lot of the time, what we do, we people just get suspicious sometimes. We see things happening. Oh my God, what's happening there? And we get suspicious and we try and meddle with things. And actually, if you try and meddle with something too much, sometimes you're in danger of killing something. And I think one of the things this might be trying to sort of tell us, if Nehemiah had got too involved in what was happening there, he might have killed a vital part of the team that was rebuilding the work. He noted it. He recognized it. He noted it. He jotted it down and he kept it in the back of his mind and he moved along. And if it was a problem, he would have dealt with it later on. Observation number 5. Skills, disciplines, capacity. Say that with me. Skills, disciplines, capacity. This list tells us that there are a range of different skills, a range of different disciplines involved in this project. And each person will have a different level of competence and capacity. In this group of names, there are skilled builders. There are people who laid beams. There are people who hung doors with bolts and bars. And the text is specific. It says this one built a wall. This one repaired it. It said this one did the gates. It said this one did the gates and hung the doors and put the beams and the bars in place. There are people who fixed walls. There were people who rebuilt towers. There were some who fixed gates. There were the priests, the city officials, the rulers, the merchants, the Levites, the temple staff, and goldsmiths and perfumers. And it's fascinating. You read it there. And the writer makes a specific point of saying this one was a goldsmith or this one was a perfumer. Well, what role do goldsmiths and perfumers have in rebuilding of the walls? What it's trying to tell you is that there are people with different disciplines, different skill sets, different competencies, and different capacities. And they are all important in the work of rebuilding the wall. There are people that left their homes and travelled from one city to get to Jerusalem to rebuild the walls. You know, the men of Jericho and Imri. Who came from a city in Persia. They came distances. And yet when you read the text, there are other people, it says they repaired the wall outside their house. Now we don't know what was going on there. We don't know why they didn't move from beyond their house. But the text made a point of telling us that they fixed a bit of the wall outside their house. There are people whose name got mentioned twice in the chapter because they did one bit and they moved around and they did another bit. And there are people, loads of people, whose name just got mentioned once. There are people who fixed a bit of wall. And there are some people, there's a reference in there that said they fixed 1,000 cubits of wall. Now, I don't know what 1,000 cubits look like, but it sounds like a lot to me. And it's that point that the writer is trying to get you to understand there are different levels of capacity and competency here. And then there's Baruch, the son of Zubiah, who did his work with zeal. He's the only one that gets that kind of merit, if you want, on his work. He did it with zeal. There are others that just did the bare minimum. Okay, but he did it with zeal. And what this chapter tells us is that a good strategic leader does not expect the same from everybody, but understands that people have different skill sets, different disciplines, different levels of capacity, different levels of interest, and different levels of competency. And a good leader appreciates all the people, whether they're fixing a little bit of wall outside of their house, or whether they're fixing 1,000 cubits of wall, whether they're coming from the other side of town, or whether they're just stepping out their front door. A good leader appreciates and they deploy people in line with their ability and in line with their capacity. Sometimes you're expecting people to do things that they just don't have the capacity to do. And you're beating them up. You're making points in meeting. You're putting them down. Well, If everybody was like this, well, maybe they just don't have the capacity. Maybe their circumstance, their environment, maybe where they come from. We don't know everybody's story. You know, when you look at someone's life, all you're doing is looking through a keyhole. You don't know what they go home to. And so, you know, I think this text is saying, give people a break. Appreciate the work they do, whether they're someone that excels and can do several bits and loads of it, or whether they're somebody that just comes out their front door and does that one little bit. We are all different, and yet we all have a part to play in rebuilding this, And everybody in this list got this mammoth task done, whether their contribution was massive or whether it was small. And their contribution, whether it was massive or small, is as important as each other. And so I just want to leave you with that today. Rebuilding takes a team. The work of the Regeneration Project takes a team. The work of building a welcoming, inclusive, affirming community takes a team. The work of ministry and mission takes a team. Nehemiah chapter 3 tells us that everybody, whatever your skills, whatever your disciplines, whatever your capacities, whatever your passions, can find a vital and necessary place in this team. You know, the work involved in bringing to pass your dreams, your ambitions, will take a team. Even the work of your own life and your own personal career choices, they're better when you get a team involved in your journey. And what Nehemiah 3 tells us, that having a team, it brings its own level of complications, it brings its own level of problems, it brings its own levels of worries. And as a leader of the team, you need to recognize that the vision is no longer your vision, but it's our vision, and it's bigger than you, and it's got a life of its own. And as a leader of the team, you will need to learn how to hold on, or when to hold on, and when to cut loose, when to bring people in, and when to let people go. And what the Nehemiah chapter 3 tells us is there's no point in panicking and losing sleep when you notice things, or things don't go quite the way that you want them to, or people don't do quite what you want them to do. As a leader, you need to learn how to recognize the skills, the abilities of people, appreciate the capacity of people. Leading a team is hard work. That's what Nehemiah chapter 3 tells us, but it also tells us it's rewarding work. And if we're going to get the job done, we need a team. Rebuilding takes a team. God bless you. Please, we're going to jump onto Zoom in a minute. So please join us on Zoom if you can. And this Wednesday, we're going to have a Connect meeting, a virtual Connect meeting in the midweek. And we'll be discussing some of these points a bit further as well. So hopefully you can connect with us then. God bless you and have a great Sunday.